All right, guys, here it is. We have the ISO 100 on the ZV-E10, ISO 100 on the Canon R8. Full frame versus APS-C. What is going to work better for you? We're going to go through these, and we're going to look at these, and you can see what one is going to work best for you. Now, this is 100 ISO on both of these. Canon R8 on the, well, your right, ZV-E10 on the left. Now, we're going to incrementally go through. We're going to look at the ISO. Now, obviously, the R8 is going to bring in a little more light once we get higher. But as you see, the ZV-10 holds its own. Even at 400 ISO, the ZV-10 is solid. You really can't really tell the difference between the two. So if you're going to shoot in controlled lighting conditions, you know, like the YouTube studios, ISO 400, fine. It's no problem for an APS-C as long as you have that low aperture. And that's the key. You have to have a good low aperture lens, because then you don't need as much light coming in. I'm actually using the kit lens on the Canon, so because I wanted to kind of keep the same equivalent focal range. But now we're at ISO 800 here on the ZV-E10 on the left, R8 on the right. Now, obviously, I had the lights down lower on the ZV-E10 because I had it at 1.4 on the Sigma 16mm. But ISO 800, it's still holding its own, still looks good. And that's just me showing on the ZV-E10. All I had for light was that little light down to like, I don't know, it was like 5%. There's a 5% on that little light. It's all I had for light, guys. So if you have that low aperture lens, like the Sigma 1.4, you don't need a lot of light. So no moving up to ISO 5000. Now, this is where it starts to fall apart. I mean, all the way up to about 3200, you're good on the ZV-10. But once you hit about 5,000, that's where full frame is going to start pulling away from the APS-C. I don't care if you're using the R7, the Fujifilm, the other R50, R10s. This is where it kind of starts to fall apart. ISO 5000, still usable, still works. But as you can see, it starts falling apart. ISO 8000, now you're having degradation of your colors and things like that. But, I mean, it would still be usable. But there's an obvious difference now between full frame. So if you're going to be shooting 3200 or less, then you got yourself pretty good with your APS-C. But if you know you're going to be outside shooting in really dark conditions, that's where a full frame will make a difference. I'm not privy to one or the other. I have both. I like both. But I got to tell you, I do like the full frame because it gives you that option to shoot in the low light that you just can't do with the APS-C. Now, if you add a little light to your subjects, you can still use the APS-C. But apples to apples, as you see as ISO 8000 here, you can see where it starts to really just pull away at 12,800. It's really noisy on the ZV-E10. I love my ZV-10. Don't get me wrong. Great sensor, nice camera. I mean, for the price, you can't beat it. Best bang for buck APS-C in my book. 20,000 ISO, you want to stay away from that, from the APS-C side. But even on a full frame, 20,000, you can get away with it. You know? So that is the big key. That is the big key. If you want the best for low light, then the full frame. But if you don't need all that, like look at your use case. If you're not going to go to 32,000 ISO on your ZV-E10, then you're probably good. If you're going to be at under 5,000, like 3,200 or less, your ZV-E10 is going to be just fine. And you're not going to really notice that much of a difference. But if you're going to be cranking it up 20,000, 12,800 ISO plus, then you go with the R8. All right, guys, I wanted to give you this head-to-head. Just like, subscribe, all that. Any videos you want to see, let me know. But there it is. There's a comparison, guys. Have a good day.